I guess this is my first episode of Becoming the podcast. Well, Unbecoming. So if you go to my YouTube, go down, you'll see the first few episodes of the Becoming podcast that I did a few years back. I think like 2021, 2022. And I guess I just feel like I should bring that podcast back because I feel like more than becoming, I'm unbecoming a lot of things. Like I'm growing a lot. And I think I go through these phases where I have growth spurts, not physical growth spurts, but like mentally and emotionally, I grow a lot. And right now I'm in that phase. I'm actually at the track right now and I'm walking. So this is going to be 100% audio, but I am going to do video too. But this episode is going to be 100% audio. And I'm just excited about my journey. I know one thing I feel like when I go through those growth spurts is that I have a lot of patience. Like I don't be in a rush about things. I really just kind of like want things to flow and go. And then when I get out of my patient stage where I'm like ready for things to happen, I feel like I get stagnant. And so one of the things I really want to do, like going forward in life, is try to find a place of patience where, like even in my everyday life, like if I'm at the grocery store and it's a long line, like standing in that long line, like to build patience. Or if I'm driving anywhere and it's traffic, but I can go around and get in another lane and I'll get to my destination faster. I want to just stay in that lane, like not rushing life, like just letting it flow and letting it happen. I had a thought today though about because one thing that I feel like I'm unbecoming is like my religious beliefs, and I grew up very Christian, like very religious family. And I feel like I've deconstructed Christianity at the very least 3 times in my life that I can truly remember making a decision of saying like, I don't truly believe this. And I've always kind of like steered my way back to it. And I think the reason I steered my way back to it, the reason why it was so easy to like steer my way back to it is because of my family dynamic. Like it's very religious. And I think that you don't even realize how conditioned you are and how uninclusive most families are. Like you're not really able to be atheists in most families because everything is surrounded or everything starts and ends with religion. So you just think about like a family cookout. If I'm atheist and I don't believe in God, I still got to sit through a family prayer before we eat. It's so many things that's like, if I go to ask somebody for advice, the first thing that they're going to kind of like tell me is just wait on God and things like that. And you don't have any sound advice. Like all the advice is based on a book. And even if you don't believe in that book, even if you don't believe in that religion, that's where your family's thought process, their beliefs, the way they think, the way they heal, the way they grow, everything surrounds around that book. And I think that that's also why a lot of times in the Black community, especially people that get stuck in the hood, I think it's because their belief system is so limited. It can't alter around anything that's factual or anything that's like right in your face. It has to alter around that book. And I want to be clear that I don't want nobody to change their beliefs. That's not what my podcast is about. It's about me unbecoming, and I'm just taking you guys on a journey. You can believe what you want because it doesn't alter anything for me. If you're atheist or if you are Christian, nothing changes about my life because of your belief. And nothing changes about your life because of my belief. We can believe what we want as long as we're not trying to harm anybody or trying to do things that are inappropriate and social and in our everyday life. Like as long as you're not mentally, emotionally, or physically hurting nobody, that's my standard. That's what I live by. That's my That's my commandments. I want to be intentional. I want to make sure that I am not intentionally, physically, mentally, emotionally hurting anybody. And if I am, be okay with understanding their perspective and how we can change going forward. But that's my commandment. That's what I live by. And I'm not perfect and I make mistakes. And one thing I really enjoy doing is apologizing when I make mistakes, living up to the growth in my mistakes. So yeah, I made a mistake, but living up to saying that I want my behavior to change if it's affecting somebody mentally, physically, or emotionally. But back to that topic that I was on, I was just thinking about like death. Because I think that that's one thing that kind of like keeps people into religion too, not knowing what the next step is going to be, not knowing like what's going to happen to me if I die today, or what's going to happen to me, you know, if I die tomorrow, if I die in 10 years. Being afraid of like what happens next keeps a lot of people stagnant as well. And that's just 100% based in fear. And I don't want to live in fear. And I don't live in fear. Like death is like, I feel like the easiest thing for me. Because at the end of the day, if I die today, it won't affect me at all. It'll only affect the people who love me. And because I know that, I try to make sure that the people that love me know that I also love them. And I'm not perfect at that. I think that there's times where I don't communicate that love right. It's times where I get in my own mood and I'm not loving the people around me the way I should. So I'm not perfect at that, but I just hope that the people that love me listen to this interview and know that I love them. But I'm not always happy, and I'm not going to always be happy, and I've learned to accept that too. I'm not always in agreement with how people treat other people, and that kind of like makes me go to my own little corner because I'm not confrontational, which I need to be. And I guess that's something we'll talk about in one of the future episodes, but that's something I'm working on because I think we have a bad outlook on confrontation, and confrontation really isn't that bad. It's something that you need because you got to advocate for yourself. And my daughter, who is my niece, she kind of taught me that. She's very outspoken when it comes to the things that she desires as far as like how she wants to be treated, how she wants people to talk to her. And I respect it. And I tell her that all the time. I say, always just make sure you still give respect, but you don't let people treat you any kind of way. You don't let people talk to you any kind of way. I don't care if they're grown, if they're children, you correct that and you get that together because you have to be an advocate for yourself. And I think that she's really good at that. And that's something that I'm not good at. And that's why when I'm talking to her and I tell her, like, I think that's a beautiful thing that you have the courage to stand up for yourself. Because again, I didn't grow up in an environment that allowed children to speak up. So when she's at home and she feel like she know that she can tell me anything, like, just come to me respectful. If you feel like I disrespected you or said something to you, and I'm not really a disrespectful person, so I know I didn't disrespect her in the manner of like cussing her out or like being intentionally rude or mean, but I could have maybe said something that irritated her or said something that crossed her line, and I just didn't know about it. And she's always okay to come to me and tell me how she feels, and she's never going to get in trouble for that. She's never going to get in trouble for telling somebody how to treat her or how to talk to her, because that's allowed in my house. But like I tell her all the time, you're still a child, and there's people who are not going to want to be around you because they don't believe children should speak in that manner. So you got to be okay with that, or choose not to be okay with it. It's your life. But yeah, those are just some things. But go back to the topic. I keep getting off topic. I was talking about like death and not being afraid of dying. Because the only thing that I feel like would bother me if I was to die today, if I were to die today, the only thing that I would be upset about, and I wouldn't even be upset because I would be dead, but the only reason I wouldn't want to die today is because I feel like I got so much more to do and so much more to give the world, but I'm not that focused on it. Hello. I'm not that I am focused on it, but I'm not that attached to the ending. So the ending can be what the ending will be. Whatever the ending gonna be is gonna be that anyway. But I'm gonna do my best to make it the ending that I want it to be. But things don't always go the way you think they'll go, and you have to be okay with the way that they do go. So, like I said, the only reason I would probably be upset or about dying or not wanting to die right now is just because of the things I want to do. And that just brought me back to like the people in life who are remembered, and they're remembered across generations, across people. And this is why I know that this is what God is. My version of God, and just a public announcement. I'm not trying to change nobody's beliefs. Believe whatever you need to believe to get you through the day, make you happy, and make you peaceful. Even if that's Christ, if that's Buddha, whatever it is you need to believe, I support that. But my personal belief is that God is really like a collective of everything that exists in the world. So like the trees, the air, us, the water, all of that combined is what God is, in my personal opinion. And I say that because I think the people who are remembered in this world, so when you think of people like Martin Luther King, you think of people like Gandhi, think of people like Malcolm X and Michael Jordan. I'm sorry, not Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson. These people who are forever remembered, it's not because they were just like the most talented people. No offense to Michael Jackson. Like, I think that he could sing, but I think that more than anything, he was a person who preached about unity. Even when you think about Jesus, like the character that is Jesus, it's about unity. Like no person is an outcast in their message. And I think that when you have a message that doesn't exclude any person, it automatically makes you memorable because there's more people who are going to be attracted to the message because they don't feel excluded. And I think that that's how you get like a Michael Jackson. That's how you get a Malcolm X, a Martin Luther King. And you think about even Malcolm X, because his message was kind of excluding white people. And so there's like a fence of people who don't really support him. But then when you think of Martin Luther King, he has streets in different cities, and like all around the world, they know who he is. It's portraits of him all in other countries and things like that. It's because his message was about unity. And I think that that's what God is. It's not a being. It's not like, I think we try to personalize God, and it's not a person. It's like what is the word that I should use? I think God is like, I guess the only word I can think of is unity right now, but it's another word though. It's like everything combined is God. And I think that once we're all on the same page, and I think that's probably why in Africa so many things back in those beginning centuries were so in line. It's because it was about unity. It was about, if I take a shit in the earth, and that's fertilizer. Or if I die, my body gets buried back into the earth. It's like we were taken from the earth but given back to the earth. And I think that the reason why we're so off track right now has a lot to do with like us cutting trees down, laying concrete. And I always wonder how many generations did it take for humanity to be okay with building 500 subdivisions and laying concrete over the earth. How many generations did it take for us to just sit there and watch that happen and say nothing? Because in my community alone, we have like 10 or 15 gas stations in like a 1 mile radius. There's no reason why we need that many gas stations. But there's no uproar about it. There's nobody with picket signs saying that they don't like it. So I don't know. That's something I think about often. But I think that when we think about what God is and who God is, it's definitely about unity. It's definitely about what you take, you give back. And we build concrete walls to put caskets in the ground instead of just giving that back to the earth, because that's where we come from. But, you know, I'm unbecoming a lot, and I have a lot of different ideas about like what I personally believe and what I think, life is really about. And I feel like it's time for a change. And this is going to be my first episode back, Unbecoming with Lady. Nah, Unbecoming with Ulavia. I think my mom gave me a beautiful name. It was her middle name. And just a little back history on her name. The lady who was braiding my grandmother's hair, which is my cousin's great grandma. So my mom grew up on a street called Prosper Street in Acres Homes. And everybody was like family. And the lady who was braiding my grandma's hair, when my mom was born, my grandma wanted to name my mom after her, but not her first name. She gave her a middle name. But when she went to the hospital and she wrote the name down, they didn't give a damn. They gonna give you, this was 1963. And so they spelled it wrong on a birth certificate. And so her name ended up being Ulavia. Her middle name ends up being Ulavia, Ulavia. Her name was supposed to be Ulaya, but it ended up being Ulavia. And it was like a name that was always, for me initially, because even black teachers would look at that name and like, kind of like do like one of those faces. And then students would they wouldn't make fun of me, but they would make fun of the name. And so it's always been something that I was on the fence about until I got to probably 8th grade. And I had a teacher, a black teacher, and she was like, that name is so beautiful. And she was a substitute. She was like, that name is so beautiful. And from there, I started to try to see it in that way instead of seeing it in a negative way. But the older I got, I realized that I'm so happy I had that name, because I can do so much shit with my name, as far as making an email. Nobody's going to have my name as an email. Nobody's going to have my name as a Instagram or Facebook name, because it's so unique. And then the older I got, I love the fact that I was named after my mother, and me and her share a name. And I really wanted my niece to have the middle name as well. And that way, every woman in our family would share that name. But, things go the way they go. But I'm going on a walk right now. I'm actually at the park walking. And this is my second workout of the day. And that's another conversation about unbecoming, because I think that sometimes we get so used to how things already are, and we feel like things need to change for us exactly how it is already. And I think that I just woke up one day and decided that if something is going to change in my life, it's going to be me that changes it. And all of it started with me wanting to be a filmmaker, which I am a filmmaker. Right now I'm writing a script. And I just started to speak life into myself. But one thing people who work out know that the easiest way to get on the habit of speaking life into yourself is exercising, doing hard workouts. And for me, it was running. So one day I got up, I went to the track. I had seen an Instagram video and they was like, you need to run at your own pace. If you're completely out of breath, can't breathe, chest hurting, you are not running at your pace. And they was like, just go and run at your pace. And so I didn't do it the same day, but one day I just woke up and I said, I'm finna go run. And I got up, put my shoes on early because we in Houston, it get hot. And I went to the track and I jogged. I call it jogging. I guess it is running though, and my time the first day was almost 16 minutes. So I'm just going, at my own pace. And I think the perfect thing about that is you teach yourself how to breathe. So I'm just going and I'm getting used to running. I'm getting my heartbeat to match my breath. And the next day I go out there and it's still high. It's like 15 minutes and 50 seconds. That whole first week, it was at 15 minutes. And then the next week comes around, I challenge myself. I say, I don't want to be stuck at 15 minutes. I want to try to get down to 13 minutes. That was my goal. Like, let me try to get a 13-minute run. But I didn't get to a 13-minute run the second week. I'm still not really at a 13-minute run. I get to like 13:50. But the next week I challenged myself and again, you learn your breath. But the most important thing about running is your mind. You are not going to be able to run if your mind is negative. Because when you get to a point to where your legs hurting, when you get to a point to where your body is weakening, your mind has to be able to tell you to keep going. Your mind has to be able to say, you got this. You're not a quitter. You got this. You're a survivor. You got this. You can keep going. If you can breathe, you can run. And so that was my mind when I started running, and that translated to my real life. Because if you can do hard things in one arena, you can do them in another arena. This is so important. This is an important message. If you can do hard things in one arena, you can do hard things in another arena. No, you're not going to be perfect initially in that other arena or in that other thing that you're doing. But the same way I went out there and I said, okay, I'm going to run at my speed. I'm going to learn how to breathe, all of that. And then by the next week, I'm down a whole minute. And right now, it's been about 4 weeks. Right now, I'm at 13. Today on the treadmill, I did 13 minutes and 15 seconds. And it's been about 4 weeks total. July 29th will be 4 weeks total. So you have to do hard things. You have to be okay with pain, because pain is temporary. And pain does not mean that you're failing. Pain does not mean that this is not for you. Pain does not mean that you give up. Pain is an indicator that things are changing. That's all it means. And it could mean that it's changing for the good, or it can mean that it's changing for the bad. But pain is only an indicator that there is a change coming. And so that's one thing I learned, with running, is that you keep going. You do not stop. You do not quit. As long as you can breathe, you can run. And so that's what I've been doing. I run at least 4 days a week. I've been doing it at the gym a lot lately, doing the treadmill, because the treadmill is what kind of got my time down. I had started going to the gym and running on the treadmill every other day, and then going to the track the other days and running it. And then when I got on the track, my time went down. And it's because when you're on a treadmill, you have to be at a steady pace unless you want to keep pushing that button to go up or go down. So when I get on the treadmill, I set my time. What do I want to run today? And if I set the time, am I going to allow myself to quit? Or am I going to push through? Unless, like I said, I can't breathe. But there hasn't been a time yet where I haven't been able to breathe. So my new goal right now is really to run further. I don't really care about the pace, but the pace is important only because I'm only running a mile a day. Um, but so I want to get my pace to a certain time frame. However, starting in August, I'll be running 1.5 miles a day until I get to 3 miles, which I hope I'll be at 3 miles by the end of September. But we'll see. But yeah, running has really, 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 really changed a lot for me. Changed the way I think, the way I believe in myself. Number one, I got to get up, working out in general. Because I get up early. I get up like at 4 a.m. I'm in bed by 7 every day, which that's going to change because now I want to start doing 2-a-days. And I'm at my 2-a-day right now. I'm not supposed to start this until August 1st, but I like to get on it ahead of time. So August 1st is like, I think Saturday. So we're coming up on it. And I want to be already doing my 2-a-days before August 1st. And so my 2-a-days just consist of getting up 4 a.m., going to the gym, working out. So Mondays is usually upper body. Tuesdays is lower body. Wednesdays is like an active rest day. So on Wednesdays, I don't go to the gym, but I go to the track. And I run my first mile, which August 1st is going to be 1.5 miles. I run my 1.5 miles, and then I keep walking until I get to 2 miles, which that's going to go up to 3 miles. So I'm going to be walking 1.5, I'm going to be jogging 1.5 miles. Once I get done with that, I'm going to be doing 2 miles, well, 1.5 more miles until I get to 3 miles. And then in the evening times, my goal is to try to do 6 miles per day, every day. Well, no, 6 miles Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 6 miles. And then I work out Fridays. I work out Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Me and my fiance, we go and we do 3 miles. We run the first mile, and then we walk the final 2 miles. But I'm excited. And I think my journey is beautiful because right now in my life, I'm only trying to do the things that I desire, and I'm just trying to see if I can actually achieve them. I'm trying to see if I can keep going hard until I achieve the goals that I want to achieve. And so that's where I'm at in my life right now. And so most of the things that I do, I'm happy about them, but once I achieve it, it's like, okay, cool, on to the next thing. But I know I need to stop being that way too, because sometimes you just need to appreciate where you're at. And that helps you with patience as well. Because I lost my job last year, January, at the beginning of January, and I could not find a job for a whole year, which is okay because I had a lot of money saved into like a 401k and they matched it. And so it really got me through almost 2 years because I still don't have a job. Well, I don't have a job that's paying a lot of money. I do like little stuff to make money, but it hasn't like stopped me. It hasn't stopped my progress. I've been able to, live a fruitful life, and not struggle. Still able to like pay my bills and do things that I want to do. If I want to go take a trip, I can go take a trip. And I think that's the beauty in it. And I think one thing I noticed, like not having to get up and go to a job every day, is that it's a peaceful life, bro. And I think that's how we were supposed to live. Like I can wake up in the morning, go to the gym, go outside, sit in the sun, read my book, play in my yard, cut my grass, play with my fruits and vegetables, my garden. I can go walk around Barnes and Noble if I want to. It's like your life is just so much freer. And I think that that's the biggest scam in the world. The biggest scam in the world is a 9 to 5. I'm not gonna lie to you, because it's like a bunch of, like, I use the word slave, but it's unfair to use that word because we are indeed physically free. But I feel like I use that word because it's like you don't really have an option on what you want to do every day, because a certain amount of that time has to be delegated to help and build somebody else's dream. And I'm not saying people should quit their job, because at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for you. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be looking for a job, because I am actively looking for a job. But I also think it's bittersweet that I'm looking for a job, because I have so much freedom, and that freedom can buy happiness. I think they say money brings happiness, but I think the reason why money brings happiness is because money can buy freedom. Money can make you not have to go to that job every day, 5 days a week. You're spending more time at the job than you're spending with your family. So when they say money brings happiness, it's because money can literally buy you freedom. And I feel like I see that on my journey, like on this journey that I'm on right now, where I have enough money to survive, and I work about 2.5 hours per day. That's it. And it pays my bills. I'm able to still save money, and I'm able to live freely. You know, I get up and I go to the grocery store when I feel like it. I cook my dinner when I feel like it. I got in the habit of taking a nap every day. Like, I was in a real habit of taking a nap every single day. And then I stopped doing it just recently. But I think I'm gonna start back, because I did it today and it was pretty dope. But yeah, I think that whole concept of money makes you happy, it's the freedom that money gives you. But yeah, I think I'm about 32 minutes in on mile 3 of my walk, and I'm gonna call it a day. Unless I have some thoughts, and then I'll do like a part 2, episode 1, part 2. But thank y'all for listening. I hope y'all continue to listen to my podcast. A lot of the other episodes are going to be visuals. I'm gonna get on camera and use some of that damn camera equipment I bought. But this is the UnBecoming Podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation as I went on my 6-mile walk, but it's been about 3 miles that I've gotten done. So hope you guys have enjoyed this conversation, and peace out.